My name is John O'Malley. I am the president of Worldwide New Testament Baptist Missions in Kings Mountain, North Carolina. Before Brother Rhoades shares with you God's calling on his life, his ministry background in Guyana, and the work he does for the Lord both here in America and in the Philippines, we both felt you should know the rich history behind his ministry. Scripture teaches churches plant churches. History proves churches plant churches. Every church which is scripturally planted has had help. Do you know the name of the American missionary Adoniram Judson? Do you know the name of the man who went to the field the same week as Judson did, but returned immediately to help Judson raise support? His name? Well, his name was Luther Rice. Luther Rice returned to America to raise support from Baptist churches for Adoniram and Ann Judson. Missions was not popular then amongst Baptists. Luther Rice had to kindle a fire in Baptist churches for missions. His message was simple. The Great Commission is the responsibility of a church. Luther Rice formed a network of Baptist churches to support Adoniram Judson. Luther Rice's ministry in America helped Judson plant churches in Burma. Luther Rice did more than raise support. He established 25 missions. He saw 112 missionaries follow God's call to missions. He helped start 15 Baptist universities and colleges. One church historian said that the return of Luther Rice to America was the most important event in Baptist history in the 19th century. The Great Commission says all the world must hear the gospel. No church is planted without people helping. Scripture shows the Apostle Paul had helpers. History shows Adoniram Judson had help in Luther Rice. And this moment shows Joshua Rhoades is a modern-day Luther Rice for the Philippines. Please listen to how God made Joshua Rhoades a helper to the Philippines.
I grew up in a single-parent home. I first heard the gospel when I was 6 years old. A friend led me to the Lord, and as a teenager, I committed my life to the Lord to do whatever He would have me to do. Right out of high school, I joined the military and I served in Iraq as a firefighter. When my time in Iraq was coming to a close, my wife and I would take some time off together. I thought about taking her to Scotland for vacation. Over the phone, my wife shared with me that our pastor just returned from Guyana. He spoke of the people of Guyana being open to the gospel. So instead of Scotland, we went to Guyana on a vacation. We went for pleasure. But when we came home from vacation in Guyana, instead of bringing home souvenirs, we came home with a divine commission to reach Guyana with the gospel. We raised our support and went to Guyana as missionaries. While in Guyana, we went soul winning. We conducted men's and ladies' Bible studies. We held tent crusades. We distributed 2 containers of scriptures. We watched God grow a church. When we left Guyana, a self-supporting church was in place with a national pastor. That church continues today. We returned from Guyana to our home church, Faith Baptist Church in Shelby, North Carolina. God aligned the timing of our return from Guyana with the expansion of Faith Baptist Church's Philippine ministry. My pastor, Barry Goodman, said, "Josh, I would love for you to help with the Philippine ministry." He went on, "With your involvement, we can do more. We could see more churches planted." Suddenly, things clicked in my heart and mind. I saw what God did in my life. God taught me how to be a missionary church planter in Guyana so I could be a helper to church planters in the Philippines. I thought, how does something like this happen? How a 6-year-old kid could go from a single-parent home end up a missionary and responsible for helping dozens of churches get started a half a world away? The best answer I can give is, God opened my heart, and every time God opened a door, I said, yes, Lord. When people ask me, what do you do? I tell them, I connect Philippine pastors and American churches in the work of the Great Commission. I show churches how they can invest in infant churches in the Philippines until they are on their own. When people ask, how long does it take to get a church going? And how much does it cost? I say it takes a couple of years and a little bit of money. Some men receive $50 a month, others a little bit more per month. The support and gifts churches raise enables a pastor to give himself full time to reaching his community for Christ. When people ask, how does this all work? I tell them, when a church graduates from infancy to a self-supporting church, which usually takes about 3 to 5 years, we've already identified the next leaders in our Bible college. We seek trained, qualified, and accountable men who are listening and looking for God's will. When I see this ministry, I see it as a kid with training wheels on a bike. Do you remember when you taught your child to ride a bike? You did not just put your child on a bike and push them down the road. I hope you didn't. What did you do? You put training wheels on their bike. You watched your kids. You worked with them. You cheered them on to success. Then one day when you felt they were ready, you told them, today we take off the training wheels. You watched with excitement as they started. Yes, they wobbled. Yes, you held your breath. Yes, they needed band-aids. Yes, they made mistakes, but they did it. They graduated from a bicycle with training wheels to a bicycle without training wheels. The bike with training wheels is the church. The rider is the church planter. The rider is qualified, trained, and prepared. The community where he is forming a church may have extra challenges. Like the Apostle Paul's work in Corinth, some church plants will make mistakes. They may wobble, but the church is the Lord's. He will sustain them. The Faith Baptist Church Philippine Ministry offers training wheels to developing churches. We work with them. We cheer them on. We watch and pray with them. Then after a couple of years, we help them by taking off the training wheels. They become their own church, committed to reaching the uttermost from their church. People ask, can the men in the Philippines do this without your ministry? Yes, they can. They can save their money to buy an airline ticket, get a visa, and come to America. They can spend 12 to 24 months traveling to churches to raise their support. There is a delay before they start a church. They spend far more money. Instead, we help the national pastors stay in place and not have to come to America for support. We follow Luther Rice's model. We help Filipino pastors stay in their own country by building a network of churches in America who want to help those we train and are accountable. Our network assists national pastors in the Philippines who plant churches. Now, with a population of over 100 million people, there is a lifetime of work to do in the Philippines. Getting Filipinos the gospel is my heartbeat. Our ministry has 3 principles by which we govern ourselves. 1, we don't want any church we start to be supported long term. Number 2, we don't want America to be the credit card for the Philippine churches. Number 3, we do not want America to become their God. Will you pray for the Filipinos to be told the gospel? Pray that we will find the right men to go to their God-assigned places and to tell the story which will change their eternal address. Please pray for me as I obey the Great Commission and help Filipino men reach souls for Christ. My calling is to tell their story here in America so they can tell Christ's story in the Philippines.